Imagine this. A Saturday night, your friends are packed into the living room, the TV is roaring with commentators screaming every goal, the atmosphere is electric. Everyone's jumping off the couch, shouting, clapping, their faces flushed with excitement. You're sitting there in the corner, eyes drifting somewhere else, maybe holding a book or just staring out the window. Or maybe you're home alone, completely ignoring your phone that keeps buzzing with invitations to watch the game. Why don't you feel any of that collective rush? Why does the rest of the world seem caught in a wave that simply doesn't touch you? People usually say you're boring, that you're not into sports, that you're antisocial, or you just don't get the beauty of the game. They call it a harmless quirk, a lack of passion, maybe even a touch of snobbery. They smile, shrug, and move on, thinking it's nothing more than a minor habit. But wait, it's not that simple. It's not a lack, it's not laziness, it's not stupidity, it's not just some weird habit. There's something much deeper going on inside you, a hidden mechanism that very few people see. In this video, we're going to uncover the 6 hidden traits of the psychology of people who don't watch football. People like you. And by the end, you'll understand why this seemingly ordinary choice actually reveals so much about who you really are. If you already recognize yourself, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next revelation. Let's start with the first hidden trait. I call it the uninfluenced mind. This doesn't happen by accident. Psychology shows us that the human mind is wired to seek belonging, to align with the tribe for survival. But in your case, something happened differently. Maybe an early experience showed you how easily crowds form, how quickly enthusiasm turns into hysteria. You developed a natural resistance to collective emotional waves. It's not rebellion, it's a form of inner freedom. Picture the moment. It's Sunday evening. All your colleagues are talking only about last night's match, analyzing every play, laughing, arguing. You stay silent. You have nothing to say because you didn't watch it. Inside, you feel a slight awkwardness, like you've been excluded from an invisible club. But at the same time, you feel a cold clarity. Your mind wasn't invaded. It wasn't stolen by that collective energy. Here comes the twist. What looks on the surface like a lack of interest or a social quirk is actually a strength. You don't need an external spectacle to feel alive. The cost? Sometimes you feel isolated, as if you're watching the world through thick glass. But this uninfluenced mind protects you from manipulation and keeps you anchored in your own values. Remember this, freedom begins exactly where others let themselves be carried away by the wave. This independence flows naturally into the second trait, because once your mind refuses to align, it becomes extremely sensitive to anything trying to control it. I call it the sharpened emotional radar. Psychologists talk about emotional hypervigilance, the ability to pick up micro-expressions, voice tones, hidden intentions. For people who don't watch football, this radar has been trained for a long time. They see how a single match can turn rational people into a herd, how sponsors, narratives, and manufactured emotions steer millions of souls. Think about an ordinary conversation. Your friend tells you passionately how a player was wronged, how the referees are stealing, how the national team is the victim of a conspiracy. You listen and instantly feel a subtle discomfort, like an inner alarm going off. It's not about football. It's about how a game is used to manipulate pride, frustration, and identity. Your radar detects it immediately. The twist comes now. What many call a lack of team spirit is actually a deep protection. You're not cold, you're vigilant. You've learned that collective emotions can be weapons. The cost is exhaustion. Sometimes you feel drained from seeing so far beyond the surface. But this sensitivity makes you extremely careful about what you let into your soul. Remember this, The one who sees the manipulation can no longer be manipulated. And precisely because your radar is so sharp, you arrive naturally at the third trait. I call it the thirst for authenticity. When you reject mass entertainment, you're not doing it out of superiority. You do it because you need experiences that truly touch your soul. Psychology tells us that once you've tasted depth, anything superficial becomes unbearable. You crave meaning, not spectacle. Books, long conversations, music, nature, your own thoughts, these are what feed you. Picture an evening when everyone is glued to the screen. You step out onto the balcony, breathe in the cool air, and think about a problem that's been weighing on you for weeks. Or you open a book that carries you into another world. While others are shouting at the goal, you feel a deep peace, but also a quiet sadness. Why can't you join in? Why does it feel like you're the strange one? The twist is both painful and beautiful at the same time. What looks like a lack of passion is actually an enormous hunger for what's real. You refuse to fill your mind with manufactured emotions because you want emotions that are genuine. The cost? Sometimes you feel alone in a world that feeds on illusions, but this thirst makes you live more intensely than those who chase every new trend. Remember this, authenticity is never up for negotiation. From this thirst is born the fourth trait. I call it the rejection of the competition arena. Football isn't just a sport, it's a metaphor for tribal warfare, for winners and losers, for identity built on a scoreboard. You've learned to distance yourself from this pointless arena, not because you're afraid to lose, but because you've seen how much of real life gets wasted in fake competitions. Psychology shows that some people develop an aversion to symbolic competition after living through too many real battles in childhood or relationships. Think about the moment when your colleagues start arguing about which team is better, who deserves the title, who is a traitor. You feel an emptiness inside. You don't want to enter that fight. You'd rather stay quiet. It looks like passivity. It looks like a lack of character. But the twist changes everything. This rejection is not weakness. It is wisdom. You've understood that the real competition happens with yourself, not with others on a green pitch. The cost is that sometimes you're labeled indifferent, as if you have no fire inside. Yet this distance saves you from unnecessary frustration and keeps your energy for the things that truly matter. Remember this, not every arena is worth stepping into, and when you step away from the arena, you come back home, to yourself. That leads us to the fifth trait. I call it the endless inner universe. People who don't get pulled into external spectacles often have an inner world so rich that external reality looks pale by comparison. Neuropsychology tells us that some brains are wired to process things more deeply, to create entire worlds inside the mind. You have time to dream, to analyze, to build. Solitude doesn't scare you, it nourishes you. Imagine an ordinary day. Everyone is talking about league tables, transfers, dressing room drama. You're lost in your own thoughts, building scenarios, solving personal problems, exploring ideas that have nothing to do with any score. Your friends ask, "What's wrong with you?" You smile and say nothing, but inside you, a whole universe is unfolding. The twist is liberating. What looks like isolation is actually a richness that few people possess. You don't need external entertainment because you have an entire theater in your mind. The cost? Sometimes you feel overwhelmed by your own thoughts, by a depth that doesn't match the shallow world around you. But this inner universe is your true home. Remember this. The richest people are the ones who don't need a spectacle to feel alive. And finally, all these traits come together in the sixth one. I call it immunity to the social storm. You have the ability to stay detached from trends, from waves, from collective hysterias, not because you're superior, but because you've built an invisible shield. You've seen too many times how an emotional wave sweeps everything away and leaves people empty and confused once it passes. You choose to stay on the shore. Think about months when the whole country lives through football, through national victories and defeats. You continue living exactly the same. You don't get overly happy. You don't get overly sad. You seem cold. It looks like you don't care about anything. But the final twist changes your entire portrait. This immunity is not indifference. It is intelligent survival. You've learned that storms pass, but yourself remains. The cost is that sometimes you feel like a stranger in your own culture. Yet it is exactly this detachment that sets you free. Now look at all of them together. The uninfluenced mind, the sharpened emotional radar, the thirst for authenticity, the rejection of the competition arena, the endless inner universe, and immunity to the social storm. These are not flaws, they are not quirks, they are the map of a person who chose to live differently. A person who may have been hurt by too much forced belonging. A person who understood that true power comes from within. You are not broken. You are built deeper than anyone ever told you. And maybe, for the first time, you feel truly seen. Remember one single thing. People who don't watch football are not running away from the world. They simply refuse to let it devour them. And in that simple refusal lies the purest form of freedom. See you in the next video.